What happens when water is exposed to EMF, or wireless radiation? Here's something you may not know. Water is conscious, and it responds vibrationally to whatever it is exposed to. At Omnia, we've done an experiment where we froze and photographed 3 samples of water. Water which was not exposed to EMF radiation, the baseline, looked like this. Water which was exposed to an EMF field, a 5G radiation field in fact, looked like this. And water which was exposed to EMF that is balanced by the Omnia radiation balancer looked like this. See the difference? Remember, your body is 70% water. And here's a special offer for the Journey to Truth crowd. Just enter the word truth in caps at the checkout for your 10% discount.
Hey guys, welcome back. Don't forget to grab a ticket. Come hang out with us in Grafton, Illinois, May 22nd through the 25th at our conference. We held one last May and it was a success. We had a lot of fun and a lot of people were asking for another one. So we're doing it. Tickets are available at journeytotruthcon.com. That link is below. Live stream tickets are also available for $99 if you can't make it in person. So take advantage of that. We're really looking forward to seeing everyone out there. It's going to be here before we know it. So looking forward to that.
Yeah.
Tonight, we're also looking forward to speaking with Viviane Chauvet. So this is one I'm excited about. There's a lot happening right now. If you don't know, Viviane is a Galactic Channel, Arcturian and Energy Matrix Healer, and she is internationally recognized as an advanced Arcturian hybrid avatar, which is really interesting. So we're going to get into what all that means. But first, welcome to the show, Viviane.
Well, thank you, Tyler. And Aaron, it's really wonderful to be here on Journey to Truth.
Yeah.
Great to have you.
It's wonderful to have you. Yes. I would like to, you can get into your background if you would like, but I would also like to get into the Arcturians and get a background on the Arcturians and who they are, where they came from, how long they've been here, how advanced they are, and just kind of paint a picture before we dive into some of the deeper information.
Absolutely. Let's go on a journey, shall we, in terms of who I am and what does it mean to be an Arcturian hybrid avatar, in a sense. So it came out of calling. We felt the calling of the earth, or Mother Gaia, or Terra, as we call her. It really came, all of it began as a calling. And so I remember being in my original soul aspect as an Arcturian being, and being able to talk and plan my next incarnation on the planet as a response to the calling of masters, the calling of higher frequencies, to return to the earth at a point where humanity has reached a most potential ascension energy and timeline. And this is really how it began for me. So that's way, way beyond before I arrived to the planet. And so we have a councils on Arcturus. We work with our elders. We work through our collectives. And so we have determined that one of the most effective way that I will be returning would be in my original form, meaning as sending out a soul aspect of my Arcturian avatar self, because in my Arcturian form, I'm already an ascended being. I've already reached the level of enlightenment. So it's coming back to a third density level of planetary cycle on the earth to help everyone to return to their state of awakening. So it's really much more of a reawakening, if you would, rather than the ascension aspect. We are simply reascending. We're returning to that point. And
Right.
so it was determined that the most effective way for me to really come and do my mission will be in a vessel that will be originally engineered by the Arcturian themselves directly through our own organic conscious assisted technology to create first an holographic vessel capable of sustaining an entire organic mechanism of life, biofield, organ, bone structures. And then what will happen is that I will enter that aspect of my Arcturian avatar consciousness, will enter the vessel and embody it and being able to function here and be on Earth. So the goal is really to support the ascension timeline, and especially the future aspect of the ascension process that we start to foresee that is coming back to the planet more and more and more. And that is because human beings have reached a level of awakening spiritually. If you hear and you feel people talking, you can tell that we are very much aware that there's so much more to us, that the truth has been redefined. We're starting to remembering who we are, whether it's the starseed, whether it's people who souls who come from other places, other universe, other multiverse, are coming back here as soul group consciousness to integrate those frequencies. So as part of the Arcturian collective, we come here. They think of us as almost like master, like Zen masters that says, look, we have gone through this journey before. We understand the evolutionary cycle on your planet. We know where you are and the challenges that you're facing. We're coming back to supporting you, remembering who you are, bringing also the knowledge, activating what is encoded even at a DNA level so that you too can step up and say, oh, I am an anchor of light. And because you're physically in incarnation on the planet, you're much more effective to be able to support the ascension timeline, that intergalactic being coming from outside of that frame, if you want, and being able to be a support. So the challenge for me was, as an Arcturian vibrationally advanced being, is how can I stay, how can I evolve and being able to live on a planet with such gravity, with such level of density, plus the third matrix reality as such a level of polarization and fragmentation. This is very, very foreign for us because we have transcended that state a long time ago. Arcturians as a civilizations, we are millions of years old. And we have been interacting with the solar system and the Earth for well over 3 million years already. So you're going to go, wow, that blew my mind. So you can just to give you some perspective how ancient we are. We are truly like ancient master Zens of return and says, okay,
Right.
I'm here.
I think that, first of all, thank you for that beautiful explanation. And it's kind of similar to what a lot of us are experiencing right now, the whole starseed aspect of ourselves and not really fitting in and having trouble adapting to the earth energies and this gravity and the density of the third dimension. And I think a lot of people are experiencing exactly what you're describing, but maybe they just don't have the awareness that you do. And the Arcturian aspect, I think that's showing up more and more and more lately. And we hear people talking about it, and it's exciting to get your take on that. And I'd like to know, like, what forms of Arcturians are there? Like, can they show up physically, or how does that work?
A good question. Great question, Tyler. So yes, of course, what I'm sharing with you right now, many people will relate to the sensation or the experience of their own awakening as a starseed. And we know a starseed, by definition, it is a soul essence, what we call a soul essence of other intergalactic groups who have come taking on human form and bring in our group consciousness and bring in the unique frequencies that is necessary to really support this most important historical times that we're in. As for the Arcturians, and like any other very advanced and enlightened groups, like also the Andromedans, for example, is that it is impossible for us to coexist on the third density field in a physical form. So after time, people or starseed will feel the connection through that particular soul group. And there's others, teachers or light workers and practitioners, who will have guides from our civilizations to help them on their journey and being able to support them in their own unique path. Because remember, we're all unique and we all keys of light, and it's together, really much together, that we can do this. So the difference, the other aspect of myself is that I came directly from Arcturus. I am an Arcturian being, but in this form. So my story has different intricate layers and implication of what it takes for me to be sustained on a planet that still has such a hard gravitational pull to it. It is very challenging, and even physically, my body has very distinctions in terms of how it is built. In order for me to remain in a very pure state of constant, as a conduit, an emissary, I'm transmitting and receiving constantly very specific frequencies. So in order for me to be able to function and have this amazing talk with you, gentlemen, as at the same time I'm transmitting frequencies, you can tell that they went above and beyond to construct a vessel, a physical form capable of it. If I were born from the union of two human beings, I wouldn't be able to do what I do, because the physical template is not sustainable. It's not able to sustain this type of really high frequencies, which eventually you will, because the human body template is shifting. It's going back to its own original celestial form. And we know that we are healing and repairing our own, what's called the universal time matrix. And that's for later. But just to give you an idea of a little bit of distinction here.
Are you talking genetic engineering? Like they would have to genetically engineer a physical vessel that would accept these frequencies, these higher frequencies?
Yes, that's exactly it. You're right. My body was engineered by my Arcturian family, and I do have my Arcturian father is always with me. And what is really exciting is that more and more people starting to see my Arcturian father around me, or my group around me. When I do public speaking or conference, I'm on stage, I have people come back to me, says, "Oh my God, Viviane, I saw you shifting into a 10 feet tall being." I'm like, yep, you start to see my Arcturian self, my avatar self coming through. Who is this really tall being behind you? And he's always around, and he put his hand on you. This is my Arcturian father. You start to see him. So we're starting to attune each other, that you can perceive the holographic aspect of their presence around me, and eventually starting to perceive me more and more into my Arcturian self.
That's beautiful.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and I do agree with, like, it sounds crazy, right? If somebody just like stumbles across this interview and they start listening to it and they're talking about genetically engineered children, genetically engineered people, and Arcturian frequencies and all this stuff, it doesn't really make sense to what we've been taught and what we think is possible. So I really agree with it. And I do believe that more and more this type of information is going to show up, because the birthing process isn't just as simple as black and white as we think it is. You know, the womb is a stargate, and they know what souls are incarnating at what times. And, you know, you have your star family working with you to make sure that you're safe upon incarnation. And there's a complex process that happens there that I think we really need to start getting a better understanding of.
I love it. Absolutely. And I'll give you a very 3D, super fun analogy. We all know Star Wars, especially the original back in 1977, where the lucky ones were here to see it live. And in Star Wars: The New Hope, when Obi-Wan Kenobi and Luke listen to the transmission through R2-D2, there's an holographic projection of Princess Leia, right? And it's a projection of her as she's recording the message to them. Now we can all relate to that, because that's part of the sci-fi culture and ultimate icon that we all love. Think of it something like this, and a holographic projection, but think of it in the ends of, as civilizations reach enlightenment, and they're millions of years old. So what we do is that we take the holographic technology to be able to create a vessel capable of sustaining life and an entire metabolism. So it's an entire biofield of life that can be sustained within this holographic form, designed perfectly in alignment for what it needs the most. And then bring a soul aspect to it that will embody this beautiful vessel. And then you create that.
Mm-hmm.
So if you take the principle of what we saw in Star Wars, which was very advanced back in the 1970s and even 80s, right? And then just take it to on an intergalactic level, that start to become a little bit more palpable and palpable.
Right. Yeah, and that's same technology, like the holographic technology is used in what we would call a med bed, or better yet, just healing technologies.
To some degree. What we're talking about is far more advanced. Medbeds, it's a stepping stone to help humanity understand who they really are, and rekindling with your own ability to regenerate your body and understanding the language of your body consciousness. So it's a beautiful stepping stone.
Right. Mm-hmm. So what percentage of Arcturians would you say are on the planet right now?
I love that. Ooh. Percentage-wise, if I have to intuitively feel it. Now, there's a difference between Arcturian star seed evolving as human beings versus how many people are communicating with them. So the percentage will change. So we have many points of contact in addition to have an aspect of our people on the planet. So this is why I want to make a distinction here. So let's take a look at the true Arcturian star seed. We are rare birds. There are not that many of us. The thing is that it's a very, for all of us, of course, but it's a very selfless mission of love that we're here about. It's all about that. If I have to think about the true Arcturian star seed, and even in my work, I don't encounter that often. I will encounter a lot more people who has guides or memory in past lives or in their soul ancestry, or at some point they may have been Arcturian, or they spend a few lifetimes in our realm, and they will have the memory of it to help them to, in their work, their healing, channel, whether it's teachings, and it will really help them in all dimensions of their lives. So that will be a little bit of a larger percentage than those who are actually Arcturian at the stars, at the soul level, currently in physical incarnation. I'm asking them to show me a number just to quantify. I keep saying the same number over and over again, so I'm just going to say it. I would say 5%.
Oh, not much.
Not that many. We're not that many. And, we always encounter people in life that will give us powerful message, and that message will stay with us all our, as seeds that grow. I came across this delightful lady. She might have been in her late 70s, early 80s, and she's doing Akashic Records. And she said, Viviane, I connected to you. And she goes, you are a rare bird. I says, I know I am a rare bird. And he says, your people are rare birds too. You're not that many of you here. And I said, no, there's not that many of us physically on the planet, but there's many of us working with many people and the councils and even beyond the planet. We're very much involved.
Right. So I'm going to take it back down to 3D just a little bit, just to help the audience understand, because we hear about like this quantum aspect of our military, like this quantum military, this conscious technology, and an ET presence assisting the military with this planetary cleanup. Would the Arcturians be involved with something like that, or at least a form of them?
And they are enlightened intergalactic civilizations that's been helping, whether it's different level of government, military, structural aspect on the planet, whether you call the elites or the ones in authority, at least from a perspective on the third density matrix, or the way it's perceived. Long time ago, we have attempted to reach out to the so-called authority on your planet to propose a more spiritual approach to evolution. And that's a long time ago, mind you. And we were turned down because the interest was more at the time. It might still be a little bit this way today, but at the time it was more in terms of what can you do for us technology-wise. And we understand the implication of sharing very advanced, even organic technology to a civilization who have not reached what's called a spiritual maturity to be able to use those technologies. And this is something that other groups have learned, like the Sirians. They were burned, so to speak, many times in their own history, where the result of sharing very advanced, spiritually advanced technology were used to miscreation and even destruction. So we have had our approach. So we understand that this is not, in our perspective, this is not where the central point of true power is. So we are working more throughout the world with the populations. And what it means is that directly with either our own people in starseed form, with other starseed and partnership, with light workers, people who have been calling to be as a soul level. We understood, we had agreement with you that we would be point of contact with you, communicating probably all your life. I hear that a lot in my work. So our approach, it's more through, let's bring the population, let's bring more worldwide, global direct assistance. And if you look from Brazil to Australia to the UK to Canada, we have point of contact everywhere, and we work more in that sense. And I'll tell you, ultimately, that's is what a true empowerment is.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Right. It makes, I mean, I'm sure there would be an aspect assisting people within the military because they're still part of the whole global consciousness, right? So, and like this is like a multi-layered war, if you want to look at it that way.
Multi-dimensional.
War. You know, we're even talking about parallel timelines and parallel universes and alternate realities, and it's layered. It's very layered. So it would make sense that it's more effective to interact with people on an individual level because it's going to go further, I think.
Oh, absolutely. And plus, it's also a reversal of thought system. And we're no longer just investing in the 1% and hoping that the 1% will create a domino effect for the 99%. This is the reverse. We're moving into the 99%. And of course, there are light workers everywhere, military, government, of all industry. And I have met many of them and the light workers, even in the police force. I remember many years ago, something tragic happened to me. And to me, it felt like a micro of a second, 2 police cars arrived, and I just met 2 of my earth angels, guides, right there in physical form. It was incredible. So there's the recognition, and we invite all of you in your heart to feel the recognition that they are light workers everywhere in all level. And this is all part of the beauty and the divine design that we're here for, because each and every one of us as keys, some light workers are designed to have both hands deep in the mud, so to speak. Others are there to help people graduate, help them to heal their soul, heal the wounds, release themselves from the shackles of either ancestral lineage or even planetary history. And then they want graduating. It's like teachers that go from elementary to high school to college, and each level is important. And there's those of us who says, well, I'm the one at the university waiting for you to take you all back to your cosmic level. And then from there, you're just a pure divine co-creator. So it's the interaction of all of us together. And I really honor everyone so much. I mean, look, both of you, what you're doing with Journey to Truth. How many people you've interviewed, all the energy you're co-creating. I love you can feel you're in tune, even with concept that may be beyond a little bit of the mental mind. I can still feel your presence, and you stay present with us and open to us. This is wonderful.
Well, thank you for that.
So much.
Yeah, this is wonderful. And we appreciate that. So aside from the Arcturians, are you in communication with any other civilizations, galactic civilizations, and who?
Absolutely. I am considered as of right now as an emissary for a intergalactic delegations. Now, my group, my core group are the Arcturians because I am an Arcturian. And so that is very crystal clear. But we have partnership with many, and I'll tell you just a few that others who are not known by names and they exist beyond your quadrant, well beyond this reality here. But those are the closest to us as of right now are the Andromedan. I work a lot with the Andromedan. I'll tell you one thing also is I attract the Andromedan starseed. They too are rather rare birds on the planet. There are not that many true Andromedan starseed that will be point of contact. Like the Arcturians, we work with people. Of course, we work with you at different level. It's just we work with you from a multi-dimensional level. You are a multi-dimensional being. Andromedans are really close to us. I also work a lot with the Council of Sirius, the Sirians. Sirians and Arcturians, we have a very long history of partnership and friendship. So I also attract a lot of Sirian starseed in my life. And their numbers are greater on the planet. We have more Sirian starseed currently in incarnation than we will have Andromedan and Arcturians, for example. So the Sirians are very close. And I'll tell you one thing that is really beautiful about our partnership is that for thousands of years, we have created what's called the ancient Sirians Arcturians healing template. And that template in history was even used back in ancient Egypt, in the very early stages of Egypt, through the school of mystery with the high priests and the high priestesses, when that sacred template was utilized until interference came, and then that template was simply removed off planet. So Sirians are it's groups that I really understand. I have great affiliation with. I have an affiliation also with the Essassani. They work with me from a parallel unit, from a parallel reality. So when I go in parallel energies, sometimes the Essassani will also come to us to work. We also work with some groups that will exclusively vibrate in higher frequencies. Some groups won't even go lower than 7 dimension or 8. And so what we do is that we are the bridge between these higher frequencies, groups, consciousness, and 5th dimensional level, so we can relay and work with them together. I am very also close to the Galactic Cetacean groups, known as the whales and the dolphins. They're coming back more and more. And this is a group consciousness that's going to continue to be more predominant this year moving on. And there are many people who work with them, of course, but their presence, we feel, is going to become more predominant. Like Arcturians, we start to hear about us a lot, but we need to understand our true essence. To work with us is understand who we are. And I'm a good example. I'm a beautiful point of contact to understanding our true philosophy, our soul essence, because Arcturians, we speak through the transmission of our soul essence to each other.
Man, I'm going to have to listen back to this interview to retain all this.
Yeah, same.
There's a lot of information. I can feel my body trying to process it, and it's really resonating. So I want to make sure I go back and get a better understanding of it. Now, you mentioned galactic councils and councils of light. Now, what would that look like? Now, are we talking about a physical council that is sitting somewhere in a spacecraft? Or are we talking about an energy, like more of an energy form here, interacting with people on the subconscious level? What are we looking at?
All of the above.
Okay.
All of the above. They will be meeting, like, for example, a few months ago, I was invited to a meeting that was taking place on a Pleiadian ship. Now, I have some contact with the Pleiadians, It's just that my mission, I am more in tune with other groups, but of course they are present and we want to recognize them. So I have conscious memory to be on board a Pleiadian ship, and my Arcturian father was there. So we had some of our Arcturian delegation that were there. So we were like physically on the ship, so to speak. And the goal to that was to reassess where the Earth evolution was. There was a few months ago, so there was new preparation coming through. There's new cosmic frequency coming in. There's a lot of shift even on the planet herself and also in your solar system. And so we were talking about this and how the impact on human consciousness. And so that would be an example of a console or meeting. We know there's a lot of activity going on Saturn. There's a lot of group there, console who go there, meet. There's a lot of activity there in Saturn. We've been monitoring that very closely between Saturn and Jupiter too. And we're only referring to your own quadrant right now. And there's a lot going on there too. There's different level of consoles. And I can tell you one thing, and this is talking from the wisdom of the heart. No one is only the optimal or only emissary or ambassador. So anyone who comes and says, well, I am the ambassador for the moon or the earth or Venus, I would say, okay, you represent a group and there's more than one. So there's a multitude of emissaries who have different function and different function at different point in time of your conscious evolution. So some people right now are very, very active talking about it because that's probably part of their mission or part of what they need to do at this phase in time. Then when we shift and we move forward, there will be other emissaries that will come forward and says, now it's our time. It's again like a school system when you graduate. And each system of schooling will have their own director, consuls. They will have their own administration offices. And when you shift, well, you will talk to other administration and other groups and those director and board of directors. So there are a multitude of councils. I can tell you that. Star Regency Council, Federation of Light, the Co-Federation, there's the Council of Saturns, Orions, there's the Council of Elders. There are many. So this is why I feel like sometimes there are overlapping of concept of understanding where people say, well, I represent a Council of 12. Okay, what level, what sphere of reality, who is this Council of 12 in, and how this Council of 12 fit in a greater, much complex multiverse network, because it's not just one Council of 12.
Right.
If that makes sense.
Amen to everything you're saying, because yeah, I think the people who think that they're the only one, I mean, that's also a lot of ego takes over, when people, and that's the thing. That's why we need to understand how to safely communicate, because if you are in your ego and you start making contact, it can get to your head and it can actually consume you. And we see that happening a lot with certain people. But I also want to address something else that I've been seeing a lot. We've been getting emails from people. I see posts. They're trying, here's what I'm seeing. Somebody sent me something that lays out how ascended masters were created by Satanists in the 1700s. Then somebody else sends me something that says the Galactic Federation of Worlds and Light and all aliens are just an AI simulation. It's all fake. It's created by the Archons to control you. And then now somebody emailed me something today saying they have information that our chakra system isn't organic, but it's an AI implant that's controlling us. So this is coming up heavily right now, and the Archons would love for us to grasp onto those,
to grasp onto
those concepts. And people think that we're being duped because we believe in the organic aspect of it. But I think it's the other way around. We're seeing a pushback from the dark right now, like an AI interference that want us to believe that none of it's real. It's all AI. And what happens if you subscribe to that theory? You've given up any chance of hope for yourself at that point, because you're just oh, well, they completely control everything. It's all fake. I might as well just go work a 40-hour job and forget about this stuff.
You're also pulling yourself into a negative timeline.
Yeah.
It's almost like that's the psyop. It's getting you to believe that. And then you start creating that reality and pulling yourself into that. timeline. I think that's why they push those types of things, right?
And I'd love to get your thoughts, Viviane, on what you see happening there.
Oh, absolutely, with joy. Gentlemen, I love your energies. This is wonderful. You're very welcome. What we're co-creating right now is going to create beautiful ed waves of positive energy and healing for so many. I can tell you what we're creating. We are co-creating something important here. And this is exactly what the Arcturians speaks of for this year. When I said the Arcturians is the delegation I represent. It is a year of what's called a great reconciliation of paradoxes. And it's exactly what you just illustrated by all the emails and the concept. Yes, the dark light polarity would love for you to bring back yourself to their energy and said, please feed us. Can you just believe that ultimately your chakra, that you are just an AI projection and all of these concepts and these theories, they would love for you to believe in it. You have to ask yourself, whenever you listen to someone, us right now, I speak as for many others that comes to your show, which you listen on YouTube. Number one, if it's designed to feel you empowered, to really help you to remember who you are, to help you journey, to grow, expand, and remember that you are giants of light, I would say, okay, you may want to pay attention and listen to your heart. If anything else makes you feel contracted, less than, artificial, dupe, deceived, and all these energies, ask yourself, what is the energy behind it? Is there a potential infiltration? Is there a potential of somebody want maybe to give a message, but they're tapping into that 3D manipulation? You have to ask yourself, where is this coming from? And how is it serving me every day? And I can tell you right now, we are in a great buffet. I call it the spiritual and the UFO buffet style, where everything is being bombarded. And ultimately, they might give you a little pebble, tiny pebble of truth, overlapping with so many intermingle of concept and energies that you lost track of what this pebble was truly about in the beginning. We always says, in case of doubt, come back to your center, ask your heart, feel your divine spark within you, clear your mental field, disengage from all of these concepts. And when you're realigning, I ask that truth be revealed to me through the realm of illumination and illumine truth, bringing the golden light, and ask, show me what is real. Show me how this is serving me. And ask yourself, what am I really listening to? And you're right, claiming I'm the only one, listen only to me. Okay, who are you representing? Who's behind you? What is the agenda here? Right. We are at a point where we're going to bring the weeds out to let the truth of who we are coming through. So, of course, and I'll tell you, on a day-to-day, I get all kinds of things. AI blocked my newsletter because I was going to send my newsletter to people on my mailing list saying, hey, we have an amazing Arcturian group healing coming in. We have meditation for free. We're going to be speaking at places. Come see us. All positive energy. The moment the energy was so high, the moment the newsletter was sent out, the system blocked it. I get an email that says, you're in violation. We're not going to authorize this email. Right. A violation of what? Your rules? Right. Yes, right. I know I am. But I'm here for the light.
Yeah.
You're a threat to the system.
Oh, yeah. Big time. I've always been. The moment I set foot on the planet, they go, oh, no,
yeah. And all this infiltration and these narratives and this misinformation, disinformation, it's all serving a higher purpose anyway. Like there's ultimately lessons in it for everyone. People who take the bait and fall for some of this information or follow somebody who ends up not being organic. There's a lesson in there, and it's not our job to interfere with their karma.
Discernment, for one.
Right. It's a lesson in discernment. Yeah.
Being able to intuitively feel into what is being presented to you, and like discern rather than just accepting, somebody is saying a bunch of things that sound pretty or sound great, or fear-based, the other end of the spectrum, and then gets you caught up in it without you really tapping in, being like, is this true? Let me feel into this. Does this resonate?
Right. And what I think is happening is we're moving into like the age of transparency, where deception has no place anymore.
It can't hide like
so. Deception can't hide anymore. So we're moving into this age of transparency, and like every psyop, every false narrative, everything that's being thrown at us right now is going to be challenged. It's going to be challenged, and it's not going to just fly under the radar like it used to. And so we're seeing some rocky times right now, but it's like the purging of the positive timeline, the way I like to look at it.
Absolutely, because if you look at what really ascension or reascension, as we call it, is truly about, it's simply to step into a different conscious awareness that allows you to move from one-dimensional experience to a higher dimensional experience. So nothing is in vain, and you're right, all these experiences, whether you learn from teachers, a channel, loved ones, people you have encountered, situations, dark energies, we're at a time where it's a time of great reconciliation. It's a time of grand reunion. And in fact, I did hear a few days ago, right before our time together, a beautiful, gentle, almost angelic divine voice come to me and says, time for family reunion. And her words, I say her because it felt more divine feminine, echoed deep into my being, and I knew exactly the depth of that message. This is where we are moving. This is part of the soft disclosure, where so many of us on the planet, Lightwalkers, Starseed, the Masters of Light who have returned, beautiful human beings who say, I am returning to my divinity. We're coming back together and says, we're claiming our sovereignty. This is a time of reconciliation. It's a time to step into a higher quantum vibrational space. It is a time to liberate ourselves from restrictions, limiting belief system, patterns, whether it's from your upbringing, cultural, it can be to the collective, it could be planetary, and I would say even on a historical level. It's a time of great emergence. So always feel, what is the truth in my heart? What is my truth? Stay grounded, stay present.
Right.
Really much so.
Right. And be aware of where you're investing your energies every day, because that can easily distract you and consume you.
Exactly. And thank you for saying that, Tyler, because that's exactly what we say every day. Are you present? Are you living benevolently? Are you benevolent in your thoughts, in your communications? Are you benevolent with your relationship, especially to yourself? And allowing yourself to feel like today, just for today, and it's an ancient Japanese Reiki principle. Just for today, I'm going to stay present. This is what we call stepping into a higher cosmic presence. Just for today, I'm going to be reinvesting my energy, my inner peace, my light, to supporting ascension, healing, reconciliation, partnership. This is what we need to do. The thing is that it's easier than what has been programmed to believe. Now, we've been programmed to believe if you work hard, you get higher rewards. And like in mathematical formulas, the harder it gets, the more advanced, more intelligent you are. These are reversal of thought system that we need to step away in order for us to say, intelligence and sacred knowledge are part of me. This is who I am. Look at just your DNA. Your DNA is an intelligent archive of encoded information. If we were able just to start to read just 1% of our DNA archives, this is how I call it, we will be having like Albert Einstein and beyond kind of conversation. It will be normal.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And well, I think that's kind of what's happening though. activating. We're all being activated right now. And the sun codes is playing a huge part of that right now.
Yes.
And I'd actually like to get your thoughts on what is occurring right now with the sun. I mean, we hear we're at the end of the cycle, but yet we're still existing in duality, and we're supposed to be shifting into this new earth. The sun's going crazy. People are being activated at a DNA level, but it's like, it's really confusing at this point, and no one really knows where they fit in. So maybe you could help shed some light on that, help us understand.
Absolutely. Let's keep it simple. You fit in because you're here. If you're in physical incarnation right here, right now, it's because at a soul level, you knew that you have everything that you need. You carry all the knowledge, and you bring in a very unique vibrational signature to you. So let's just come back to the essential of connecting back to you. I am here because I said yes, and I brought with me ageless of experiences through my soul history, through who I am, right here, right now. So, of course, as we're getting assistance to our intergalactic brothers and sisters, we're also getting a lot of solar conscious energies. And the solar conscious energy is here to support the next level of natural organic evolution. So, yes, we're being activated. That's one aspect. Do you understand what level of activation? Do you embody that activation? This is where we're bringing different layers. Do you see where we're going with this?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, we're being activated, but what does it mean to you? How is it helping you to step into the activation and become the sacred embodiment of it? So this is where when you start to consciously understanding your inner universe, which will also make sense how your outer universe is shifting, you are in resonance with it. You are part of that synergy of change. So how does it fit for you? You're part of that symbiotic energy of movement.
Mm-hmm.
Because you are a divine being of light. Your soul is eternal. Your body is shifting along with you. That's the difference. So it's the reconciliation of those aspects. And I'll tell you just a little something. This is what we call the moving out, the stepping out of the 3D personality matrix and stepping into a more fifth dimensional soul matrix. That's exactly what you just said.
Right.
Is see how it all fit, all piece, all intertwined.
Yeah, and I think it helps when people understand that the sun and the activations are actually occurring, because there's even some doubt there. People don't, we don't believe what we can't see. So understanding that, yes, this is actually happening. And by understanding that, you can now allow it in, and you can accept those energies and allow for the transformation and integrate and shift into that higher frequency. Like you said, that's why I even really wanted to bring it up, because we hear about it, but nobody really understands. I shouldn't say nobody, but a lot of us don't understand how it's actually affecting us.
Absolutely. And again, this is all part of the division. Oh, it's the end of the world, the solar disruption, the solar flare, the Schumann resonance is shifting, and all of these concepts become overlapping with each other. That seems to feel like it's disruptive. But in reality, this is also another distraction that's been implemented to be able to bring yourself back into your empowerment. Do you commune with the consciousness of the sun? Did you know that there is a console of light beings right in your sun, right here? And when you travel to the sun, the corridor, you can communicate with a console of light there. And one of their purposes, and I do say one of their purposes, is they're constantly feeding knowledge to this beautiful archive, like an aspect of an Akashic record right in your sun. And there's knowledge there. I constantly communicate with the beings of the solar energies and ask them to bring in the sacred living light codes in my body to allow my cellular structure to transform. And I'm ready physically to start to merge more with my Arcturian self. So I'm asking the sun to help me with that energy, along with, of course, my group. But you have the same ability. Talk to communicate It's through the heart. It's not through your 3D mind. The mind at the three-dimensional level is designed to ask questions, but where are the answers really coming from? You have to listen.
The answers aren't coming from
Yes.
someone else's mind. It's from your heart and your gut.
Yes.
So going back to the sun, and that's interesting. You said there's a galactic council within the sun, and people who observe the sun, it's very apparent that there are unidentified objects coming in and out of the sun daily. And I even filmed the sun sometimes.
You even film some.
Yeah, just you can't. It's so bright you can't see, but I just zoom in and film for a minute, and I'll catch stuff like coming in and out of it and flying past it, and it's like the most obvious like evidence of something happening that we can't explain on the sun. And aside it from being housing a council, I would say it's also a portal.
At the council of light that is assigned to the sun, understand that also it is a powerful corridor that many intergalactic and even interdimensional beings travel through, go to the great central sun, and even beyond. So there is this beautiful corridor of solar energy that many light beings and even ships will travel through it. I have seen them myself. So when you speak of, Tyler, about taking picture and seeing an object, or even seeing object are like, right, you can tell it just came out. They're like almost like merging with the sun through the picture. And I'll tell you one thing I've seen a lot is when you communicate to the consciousness of the sun as a solar being, when you take the same pictures, you will see almost the sun turn into a being, a conscious being. And I've seen that almost like with a crown of light that communicate to you and then tells you, yes, there's also corridor naturally. That was a no-brainer. There's a lot of movement. So why putting so much energy and effort to create fear around the sun? What do you think is that? It's just another layer. But here's the beauty about the dark light. I always use the slingshot analogy. The more they push in a dark polarity, fragmentation, polarization, the bigger the counter response in the light is. And they have realized that, especially in the last 3 years. The last 3 years or so have been crucial. And they have realized that they have pushed so much out that they have generated the counter response in the light, which we see in our reawakening, coming together, stepping into our light, start to reconnect more with our intergalactic part of ourselves, and so forth. So truly, what it comes down to, from our humble perspective, is again the reconciliation of the paradoxes, the grand return to bring everything back to the light as a point of reconciliation.
Yeah,
yes.
That's a beautiful explanation. So what do you think? I know this is an impossible question to answer, but I'd like to get your thoughts on like what this next few years hold for us.
It's a wonderful question. I like it. We always says, we talk about potential. At this point, we're past any predictions because predictions will be relating on fixed point, whether it's through astrology or numbers and astronomy and all of this. And I respect all of that. At this point is that there's too many changes. Everything is a constant flux of change. We can talk about the potential of what this year is about. I would say 2023, the way we perceive it, it's more of a binary year because 2023 has already a parallel, an energetic parallel to 2024. So in reality, there's a lot of work or seeds and you'll be planting this year that will germinate and blossom more in the other corridor of time. So we're looking more at how these two corridor of times that you declare, that you think of calendar years are evolving. This is why for us, one of the main point, and I do say one of the main points this year is that point of reconciliation. And we can feel that the first portion of this year, it's true, we're still moving to the oscillation between what's real, what's not, where am I, where do I fit? We're kind of moving to the third, the fifth, and we're coming back and forth to find our own equilibrium, and where we start to landing more in terms, oh, I am on those higher frequencies, and this is a trajectory that I'm going to stay on. So there's more greater potential of manifestation, something after, if I want to quantify time, I would say around the spring equinox. There's something between spring equinox and summer solstice. Those are two markers through that timeline that you call 2023. And you have to think about, we perceive time from outside the third linear construct. We're not bound by the 3D reality. We coexist with you outside. So we're going to perceive time a little bit differently for now. This is part of the teaching that you're coming back to. Set yourself free from linear time. It's an illusion. We know that. Many have talked about this. But 2023, there's a really great potential. And spring equinox and summer solstice will be more like end of March, rolling into April, and even May. I'm going to start to feel like your thought manifests faster. So be mindful of what you're really aligning of what is it you wish to live? What is it that you want to bring in? There's a very distinct acceleration. And even on my work level, this year, my team has quite an agenda for me. They're sending me to Hawaii to reawake aspect of the Lemurian energy. Then they're going to send me to Shasta to bring the Lemurian and the Telosian. They said it's a grand reunion that will take place around the summer solstice. Now they're sending me to Glastonbury to work right at the core level of the earth and to reawaken certain of the ancient site and also the ancient codes. And then they're sending me on the ocean so we can transmute those codes throughout the oceanic life and bring it globally around the planet, just to give you a taste of what 2023 has potential.
Wow. Like you said, people are constantly trying to predict the future, but like nothing's happening. And the way you explain it, the fixed points in time don't really work anymore because everything's constantly changing.
Linear time is an illusion, like you said. So it doesn't make any sense to think there's something set in stone in the future, because the future is just now moments that are constantly, it's different now moments keep changing, but it's always the now. It's never not the now. And that's where things happen. So you can't, the future really doesn't exist. You can't predict. And that's why, even technologies like Looking Glass, it would constantly be changing because it's based on the current now moment trajectory of where things are at. But that's always changing based on what happens in your decisions and everything else.
Yeah.
So yeah, the most important thing is to, like, we are the ones creating the reality. That's really what's happening here. So.
Mm-hmm.
And together, because
Yes.
Remember, when we look at, again, I respect everyone because everyone play a role, and we need all of our keys together. So I'm always very, very clear about that. People says, "Oh, Viviane, you're so humble." Yes, I am humble because I recognize your light, as I know I am. I also recognize your light. So when we look at, Pluto will be conjunction in the house of Aries, and that's going to be a period where Mercury will retrograde in Venus, I would say allow yourself more of a higher interpretation of what that potential might be for you at this point, but it's no longer designed to be taken literally. And that's part also of the reawakening process, where we start to understand how all the elements play out together and shift even the blueprint of the next level of evolution. So every day where you invest your energy consistently, you believe in, and there's a continuation. This is why we repeat a lot of the messages that we offer, because it creates a continuous form of an energy imprint that is really far more powerful to help everyone from where you are on your journey. But also remember, It is through the community. We're coming back in that community here on Earth because you are part of a very vast community who they know about you. And when I mean they, it can be all the intergalactic groups, the beings of light we work with, the masters. There's so many. You're part of a very vast community of light. So as above, so below, let's bring that back here on the Earth.
Right.
And this is also part of living in a fifth dimensional mentality and frequency. It's more of a community frequency. I can support you, you support me. It's an exchange. I don't need to feed off your energy. Let's exchange.
Right.
It's a continuous flow. Right?
Yes. And that's a transition that needs to happen because everything right now is designed to feed off of your energy. Everything.
Yeah.
Extraction of the fear. And like you said, repeating a message so that it's like programming us. Well, that's what the dark's been doing for millennia. They constantly repeat a lie until we create that reality for them. Well, we can use that same science to create our own reality. Everything that's been handed to us is inverted intentionally. Everything is inverted into an anti-life agenda, basically. So we need to bring it back.
Let's bring everyone back and respecting also that ultimately all souls evolve. It's one thing that the realms of life has taught me, because I also work with the masters. I work with Master Sananda, Master Buddha come to me. And I remember the first time he came to me, he just appeared on my bed smiling at me. He was just looking at me smiling. Buddha, I said, why me? I'm not Buddhist. He said, it doesn't matter. I know you are at a soul level. And so I said, okay, I welcome you in my life. You're welcome on my path. And one thing that the masters and the realm of light has taught me is that ultimately dark, light, polarization, wrong, right, all of this is part of the healing where we're returning to the one mind of creator. We are holographic projection from the one mind of creator. And we simply have evolved throughout a multitude of lifetimes throughout creation through different points. If you look at just the Lyrans, that's another group we work a lot with. I want to bring back to the Galactic, the Lyrans. They're the ones who bring the secret principle of the triangle and the reconciliation of the positive and the negative polarities back to neutrality. And what is neutrality? The 0 point of divinity. You're coming back into that point. It says, well, your darkness has taught me a lot. It's been challenging, but it taught me a lot. And because of it, I'm carrying even more light today. And so let's just point, that point of what the Arcturian says at the beginning, and that's why they've been talking to me. Take the time to reconcile what needs to be reconciled within you. Because at that point, you becoming a very powerful, balanced anchor of light. And this is how we do. It's like a domino effect. We're activating like trees, like a series of light on a tree that start to get lit up. And this is what we do. We're finally returning to says, oh, I thought that this identity was me. It's just a role I'm playing so I can learn from it. Okay, I'm on board now.
Yes, exactly.
100%.
Beautifully said.
Assigning ourselves false identities is something that everyone does in the Matrix, because everyone was looking for purpose. They want to feel like they're a part of something. So they'll join a club or a group or the military or whatever it is, and they give themselves
they think that is
label,
them.
right?
Yeah.
They give themselves that label. And when you ask somebody who they are, what they do, they only tell you the physical aspect. Their
job, their occupation.
Exactly. They tell you what
their
they
religion.
Do. So learning how to shed that false identity and learn who you really are in the path of self-discovery, like that's something I struggle with every day. Like, who the hell am I? What am I doing here? And it's tough, but if you don't constantly ask yourself those questions, you fall into that trap. You get caught up into the matrix, and if you're not self-aware, what are you? So I really appreciate everything that you offer and everything that you're doing for humanity right now. And thank you for all that. And before we wrap up, I know that you've already touched on this throughout the episode, but maybe you can consolidate it. If somebody listening to this would like to try and communicate with their star family, what's a good first step we talked about the healing journey, but in a nutshell, could you kind of lay out how somebody could achieve communication?
Yes. Accept. First is to accept that there's more to you than this human identity. And being an earth human being is one of the most challenging lifetimes your soul will ever have. So that demands greater respect. You want to communicate with your star family? Accept who you are. Accept you. And of course, clear the mind, disengage from any mental entanglement. The principle and the process of communicating is easy. It is a return to feel to your heart. When I'm afraid, what will happen to me? Is there fear? Your group will know and they will respect that. So no fear, only light. You communicate through your light, through I walk in the certainty of my light. I accept that I am a being of light, and I'm going to continue discovering that truth about me. And I'm asking my intergalactic families to support me on my journey. The moment you said that to yourself, whether it's out loud or in the power of your thoughts, and you feel it in your heart, your message is sent. It is at the speed of a thought form. And all of your thought forms are received, believe us. We can see coming from the earth waves and waves and waves of thought form energy that carry all your requests, the energy, the imprint, the intention, and we can see what part of you speak the loudest. So for example, I wish to connect with my Sirian family. Okay, I breathe, I close my eyes, I clear my mind, I'm here. But in your field, there's a part of you here, there's some fear. I'm not worthy, but what did it come? What will I say? If that's kind of energy that is still lingering in your field, they will know. They will respond to you. May not be in the way that you think. But I want them to come and materialize themselves right here. Now remember, you're looking at intergalactic beings that exist beyond your 3D reality. They may come to you physically if they have the capacity for it, or they may project an holographic aspect, a light body aspect of themselves, which is just as valid as tangible physical matter. So yeah, again, release concept, expectation of what this communication will look like. It's consciousness connecting to consciousness. It really is.
Thank you for that.
Thank you.
That helps tremendously. And I agree. Get rid of your concept, your idea of what you want it to look like. Yeah.
Release
and
it.
I feel like that'll go a long way, because we hear other testimonies and other experiencers share their stories of communication and contact. We want ours to look like that, or we expect it to look like that. And when it doesn't, we're let down, but you might be missing the sign that's right next to you because you're looking for something else. So I appreciate that. Thank you. Well, this has been wonderful. You've shared so much today. Thank you for joining us. Can you please let people know how to find you?
Of course, with pleasure. The best way is really to our beautiful website, which is called Infinite Healing from the Stars.com. Infinite Healing from the Stars.com. We have a lot to offer. We have an Ascension library. We're building a beautiful library of free meditations. They're completely free. They're tools to assist everyone every day to really clear yourself, reaffirm. Today, I take a deep breath through my heart. I am ready to be of service. And service can be even from your home. Even for those who are retired or work from home or have families, you can be of service. Everything is an invitation to awaken, even when you're brushing your teeth. I have the greatest experience when I brush my teeth, because I'm so present. My mind is completely out. I don't think about anything. I'm just here. And next thing I know, I look above me. Oh, there's a portal opening. Oh, I see my Arcturian ship opening. And they're looking at me. And they said, okay, remember, we're here. And I'm like, yes, I'm glad that you are.
They're like, you missed a spot. Don't forget to use mouthwash. Yeah.
And they go like, your gums are sensitive. You need to floss. And I'm like, I know. They do. They help me. They help me navigate through life. But remember, assistance, guidance is available to anyone. I am no exception. The only exception about me is how I came back to your planet. It really is. Okay.
Yeah. Well, thank you again. This has been beautiful.
Thank you so much.
I really enjoyed this. Guys, go check out their website. And any of you, this is one interview. So I encourage anyone listening to this to go into some older interviews that she's done, because there's just a library of knowledge there and an infinite supply of information. And there's a lot to learn from Viviane. So thank you. And if you feel compelled to join us this year, May 22nd through 25th in Grafton, Illinois, come hang out with us at our conference. Grab a ticket at journeytotruthcon.com, and we hope to see you there. Thank you for tuning in. We love you all, and good night.